and welcome to the End in Mind podcast. I'm your host, Caitlin, the owner of Merakis Media Management. The End in Mind is a place where we come to share stories, tips, and strategies of many entrepreneurs, creatives, business owners, and just some people that aren't willing to live the traditional lifestyle. We talk about how to live outside of the box today and how to incorporate what really is important in your life to keep that end goal always in mind. Again, if you would like to reach out to me in any type of way, you can find me on Instagram at Merakis_media_management. And I hope to hear from you all soon. Thanks so much and enjoy our show. Hey everybody, welcome back to the End in Mind podcast. I'm your host, Caitlin. Super stoked to be here with you guys today, and I'm really excited about this week's topic, so let's dive right in. I honestly had this topic kind of come to me while I was listening to another podcast, which you guys have heard me share very frequently. I'll actually tag her show in the show notes as well, so you guys can go check it out. But Project Me with Tiffany actually had an interview with a beauty artist on her show. She was actually her makeup artist at the time for her last photo shoot. And she just had such an interesting story. I believe that she has come from a different type of manifestation and almost a background that I had as well. So at a very young age, I was introduced into The Secret and manifestation, intuition, how to really know and tap into that side of yourself. And she is also very much so seasoned in that and grew up with this in her lifestyle. And it was so interesting to hear her talk about what it is like to draw these low vibrational people into your lives and why sometimes we attract maybe not the type of energy that we're hoping for in our lives. So that is what I want to get into today. This episode's going to be called Settling Back into Your Intuition, because I want to make it very clear that 90% of the time you can't always be tapped into your higher self or your divine being or always absolutely feel in alignment. And as I've been venturing back out into the world and things have been opening back up and we really are coming out of this emergence of the pandemic and the sadness of all of the things that we experienced in 2020, I'm seeing a huge shift in people as this self-awareness has started to erupt. And I loved how Monet was talking about these lower vibrations and how they can sometimes slip into your life without you even noticing them. This has been something I have been exploring over the past couple months, I would say. And honestly, since I was young, I've always tried to surround myself with people that I love. My mom is very big on this. We went through losing a lot of people at a young age. So we had surrounded ourselves with people that would support us, pick us up, were always on our side or on our team, right? And that was so important to my mom since I was little. So when you have people at not the same high vibration as you are, it can sometimes polarize you or maybe even take you off course. So this is just something to be aware of. It's not like you should run away from somebody when they're having a bad day. This is also about having grace and having zero judgment of people. So the way I like to think about bringing certain people into my business, into my life, are the people that I know are going to add something or maybe learn something or grow or develop themselves, and they're ready to do so. If you guys check out our next upcoming episodes, we actually talk about this with a guest that I have, and we were discussing different types of vibrations of driving these people and ideal clients into your business, and why sometimes letting go of certain clients is really important for your business. And we were talking about reviews and things like that, and you can really go into the business side with this. But I really want to stay with the emotions that can come up when you are surrounded by people that are not on the same trajectory as yourself. And this was something that took me years. I'm still discovering this. I'm by no means a specialist. But, Sean and I have been going through a lot of different awakenings and self-awareness activities, and just going to therapy and really defining what life we want. And sometimes people don't always agree with that lifestyle, and they can be in your immediate family, they can be on social media, they can be on your team, right? They can be at your job, at school, they can be anywhere. And at times they may say something that will stick with you, especially when I hadn't defined like my own personal traumas and things that I had gone through in my childhood. I would fixate on certain things, or maybe ideologies that someone said to me during a conversation. For example, this happened to me a lot with professors in college, since I have a learning disability. If you guys haven't checked out that episode, definitely go back and have a listen to that. I share a lot about having dyslexia at a young age. I have minor dyslexia, and just not really being a great reader, to be honest. And so many people told me my whole life that I would never be able to write for anyone. I probably would never be successful in what I was doing, especially if it had anything to do with writing, since I was so terrible at putting sentences together. And now I write for people for a living. So I could have let those thoughts and ideologies sit with me. That would have probably held me back my entire life. Or I could have let go of them, right? And be where I am right now. And I'm so thankful that I had the mental strength to do that at that young age. And I want to share with you all, a lot of the times the people that are giving you these limiting beliefs are because they're very judgmental with themselves. They hold a large judgment within them deep down, right? Or maybe they're just really judgmental about their own thoughts or things that they've gone through, and they can project it onto us. And it really is subconscious. This isn't anything that they're trying to hurt you with or upset you by. And the more we can understand these thought processes and understand people, the less we can let these limiting beliefs come onto us on a daily basis. So, this can be something as small as like somebody making a comment at a shop, right? Like you're checking out at Starbucks and somebody says something about your shoes and how much they don't like them, right? Like it can be the smallest thing that can stick and affect us for a long time. And I'm sure you guys have heard this saying before, but what we resist persists. So the more that you lean into what you're resisting, whether that be a thought, a judgment, maybe somebody said something that's now changing how you feel about yourself, how you feel about your business, how you feel about where you are in life, just stop yourself. Is this actually how you feel? How can you give yourself grace around this certain event? How can you start to not be judgmental towards yourself? Tiffany and Monet are talking about this a lot, and she actually says, what do you do when you are married to a low vibrational person? Or is this just someone you can't really remove yourself from? And I went into this, and she says, I actually posted about this on Monday if you guys want to go back and look at it, but she said she's pretty focused on not allowing people like this into her life. And I would definitely agree with this type of thought process, but I hate to say things like that because I think that there are benefits to being around people that maybe might not have the same outlook on life as we do. So if you only bring the same type of outlook on life, right, it's only going to continue to give you that one story, and it's not going to give you all of the abundant stories and many other avenues that you could learn from. So So the more you can create this, self-awareness armor for yourself when you're venturing out into the world, you just let it roll off your back. It's not a thought that you hang on to, that you stick with, that you go down the rabbit hole with, that you're thinking about 3 weeks later about a conversation that you had with someone in Starbucks about your ugly shoes, right? Because these things do happen. I know they at least do for me. So I wanted to share this with you guys. And I also want to mention, after I got off of different types of hormonal birth controls and things like that, it really helped me step away from these anxieties that just wasn't meshing well with my body, and it did really affect my anxiety levels. So now that I have figured out different avenues for that, I feel like I was able to really encompass this self-awareness to a different level that I had never been able to before, just because I wasn't at where I am currently in life, right? And I think that that's an important piece to add in here as well, just so you guys know more about my story. And if you're interested in hearing more about that, let me know, send me a DM and we can chit chat about it. But I want to go through a few ways of how to separate yourself from these negative vibes in the world, but also allow these vibes to be present without you maybe having a conniption or having a panic attack, right? Or, shutting down, because that's definitely what happens to me at times. I just won't talk because I feel like anything I say is maybe going to be ridiculed or spun in a certain way that I don't want it to be. So first things first is setting your boundaries. With this type of person, how can you talk about certain topics that are going to benefit your life or benefit you? Maybe there's certain things you don't talk about with this person, and that's okay. And setting these boundaries will allow you to have open conversations about maybe things that you both like, or maybe you decide, it's just best if you go different ways and you find different people to add to your lives. And the second one is don't be afraid to build abundance into what you do with your clients. So don't be afraid to set negative vibrational clients away, right? Or set them free from themselves and from you. That is okay for you to refer them to someone else, or maybe let them know that where you're at currently in business is just not in alignment for where you're headed, where they want to be headed. And it's best if they end up working with someone else. This is a great way to alleviate that stress from the very beginning, so you don't get into business with someone like this. Being in business with a different vibrational type of person really can offset trajectory of goals and things like that. So I definitely wouldn't work with someone if you're getting this type of energy, pickup. Maybe you do refer them to somebody else, but that's why I say, there's no judgment, because this is how this person's feeling. This is their emotions, whether they're passionate about maybe growing their Instagram following to 1 million followers. If I had a client come to me that wanted that, most of the time I send them to somebody else, because that's just not what we specialize in. We're all about community building into that niche market that's going to make you money and convert sales. So we're not about the large Instagram following growth. And I would never judge them for wanting that for themselves, for their business, for whatever they may be running their Instagram account. That's their own goal. And just because my goals are different doesn't make them less of a person, or, some people would say superficial, right? I don't think that at all. I actually commend them for knowing what they want and being able to reiterate that to me, so that we don't go into business not knowing what each other's goals are. So that's what I mean when you say, don't be afraid to build abundance into what you do with your clients. And then this last piece is say no. When people ask you to do things that you don't want to do, say no. If you listen to this podcast, you are probably a people pleaser like myself, or somewhat of a people pleaser, right? We all have a little bit of that in us, I would say. And saying no is so freeing. For example, I felt so terrible. My mom booked a overnight at the beach last second, Monday night. It's actually next Monday night. And I have a crazy day Monday. Like, I have back-to-back calls with clients. I have content I need to be working on. I just signed up with a new coach so I can learn about new different types of organic strategies. I actually have a doctor's appointment Monday, so I can't go. And I felt so bad because she texted me and she was like, I'm going to go down by myself. No pressure if you don't want to come. But I'm still beating myself up because I have to say no to my mom. It's the worst feeling in the entire world, saying no to your mom. But she was totally fine with it. And it's going to bring me less stress when Monday rolls around and I'm not at the beach and I'm sitting at my desk and I'm working and I'm getting things done and I'm going to my doctor's appointment, another thing that's been on my to-do list for weeks, right? So really just understanding your boundaries and what you want to do and what you don't want to do is going to help you separate yourself from these vibrational people that may be low or high, right? Depends on where you're at currently, but it will push those people out of your life, right? Or push those energies out of your life so that you don't continue to draw them in. Because if I would have maybe said yes to my mom, I go on this trip, I push all of that work off to the next day. Well, then I'm not showing up for my client 100% the next day. On Tuesday, I missed my doctor's appointment and I feel like shit about that. Well, guess what? That's not putting me in a high vibrational moment, right? That's actually putting me in a really low state, and I'm not going to be able to perform to the level that my client expects me to when I'm getting on that call on Tuesday, right? Versus me saying no, getting on Monday, having a great seller's sleep on Sunday, and being able to knock it out of the park. So it's all about not even finding these people, but what vibrations are you drawing into your life through these decisions on a daily basis, and what energy are you settling into? I think that that's really what and how I'm trying to approach this. I don't want to put a label on someone and say, oh, you're so low vibe. That feels a little bit negative to me. And even as I was listening to Tiffany's podcast episode, at times I felt like they weren't always giving people grace. So I hope that you all feel that I am definitely giving people grace, and I want to continue to give more grace and more judgment, because that means the more grace and less judgment I'm giving myself as well. And that allows me to make decisions that are going to be in alignment for my goals and for what I want to do in life, versus following and settling into a role that's maybe going to please someone else but hurt myself in the long run. So that is really what the End in Mind is all about. We are all about finding this alignment, getting back connected with yourself, following your intuition, and not letting anyone else pull you off of that trajectory, no matter what happens. So I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast episode. If you did, do me a solid, leave me an Apple Podcast review. Make sure you put your Instagram handle in there, and you will be entered into a pool to win a free $25 gift card to any coffee mom and pop shop or local small business near you. And we will send you either a Visa gift card if they do not have gift cards. I don't mind sending you guys a Visa gift card to support some local small business. Of course, if you are an avid Starbucks drinker, we can always send you a Starbucks gift card as well. But our whole goal is to always lift up and support local small business. So I hope you guys are having a great week, and I will see you next time. Thank you so much for listening to The End in Mind. I would like to remind you all, if you haven't yet reached out to me on Instagram, we are at Meraki_media_management. It will be in our show notes as well. If you would like to reach out to me, we always offer free coaching through Instagram based around our Instagram training and our business Instagram practices. If you need any type of support, please do not hesitate to reach out to me there. And we also offer several different types of consulting and training packages if you're looking for a little bit more in-depth tips. So thank you all for listening in, and of course, I want you all to keep the end in mind as you continue with your day and or work week. Have a great week, and I will see you all next time.